Since 2024 is ending, I thought, why not tier rank all of the books I finished this year? I finished a total of 29 books so far, and it's only the end of November, so I have a month to catch up on my Goodreads reading goal, which is 30 books. So I have one more book to finish. And I am actually currently reading Beach Read by Emily Henry, and I'm already 60-70% in. But I'm not about to wait for that. I'm not about to wait until I finish that. I'm sorry, I want to do the tier ranking now because I feel like it. So I'm gonna introduce you to the tiers first, okay? We're gonna start with the lowest on the spectrum here. What the fuck was that? So these will be the books that I found bland and flavorless, and I do not want to touch them ever again. Next, the books that I may have liked, but would I ever recommend it? Sure, I guess. I was not impressed. These are the books that I do see why other people might be crazy about them. It's just not for me. Next, I had a great time. Well, these are the books that are great. I would definitely recommend these to my friends or whatever. But would I say it's the best of the best? Not really. Next, couldn't put it down. These are the books that I may have finished in one sitting, or I might think about them every now and then. Okay, the top tier would be This Is Literature. These are going to be the best books I've read, and I feel like they made me see the world differently, and it changed me. We're going to I think y'all noticed already. Yes, we do have a lot of the Bridgerton books here because I finished, I would say, the entire series, but I did not finish every single book, but I do know what each book is about. The Viscount Who Loved Me, I'm a little biased with this one because I really love Kate and Anthony in the Netflix series. Listen, I had a great time reading it. That's why I'm putting it here. I had a great time. I was giggling and all of that. I feel like all of Julia Quinn's books, well, at least the Bridgerton series, because I've never read any of her other series before, they are flawed. There was this scene where Anthony was trying to suck the bee venom out of Kate's chest right here, like in the series. I think they kept that scene. But in the book, they were actually forced to marry because of that, because somebody saw that, so they were forced to marry. So it kind of took away all those tensions. So I had a great time. Next, we have An Offer from a Gentleman. This is Benedict's book. It is a Cinderella's retelling, basically, and I really liked them. I actually giggled a lot. What I didn't like was how insufferable Benedict was in this book, but I did have fun, so I'm gonna put it. I had a great time, okay? Next, Romancing Mrs. Bridgerton. This is the Pollens book. A lot of people love this book. I see why they like it, I guess, but I am so fucking sorry. It was just so bland. I had to force myself to read the book. It was interesting enough up until that carriage scene. I do think that the show version is better than the book, but still, season 3 was not the best, okay? To Sir Philip with Love. This is Eloise's book. I absolutely hated it. I'm so sorry. It's just, my girl Eloise, why does she end up with such an insufferable and self-centered man? Philip, we have seen him in the show. He was married to Marina, and in this book, Marina is actually Eloise's cousin, and she herself, so Eloise, she writes a condolence letter to Sir Philip. They become pen pals, I would say. And so one day Eloise kind of runs away from the Bridgerton house and goes to Sir Philip's house all alone. So it's really like a scandal. I just did not like Sir Philip. He is the worst of the Bridgerton spouses. Like, I hated him, but it was still not as boring as Holland's book, so I'm putting it there. Next, we have When He Was Wicked. This was actually the first book I read of the series, and it was actually pretty good. The story is the most original of all of these, and it talked about loss and grief and you know, going through all of that and actually accepting the loss of someone you love. I would put that before, yeah, right there. I had a great time. Now we've finished the Bridgerton series, let's move on to the next book. The Witch by Nicholas Sparks. I found this book very boring, but at the time I did have some fun. I actually cried like 3 times reading it. If you have read Nicholas Sparks' books, you would know how boring and mundane his writing can be. It's just really slow paced, but I did finish it in a few days. Just because I actually cried reading it, I'm putting it here. Okay, yeah, that's right. Next we have The 7 Years Lived. I think this is the first rom-com, like the first contemporary romance for me. This book is just so lovely, and if you have read it, you know why the cover is yellow, and that's so cute, and the whole thing with like lemons and lemon, if you know, you know. And I really love the magical realism. I think Ashley Poston really did so good with this one. Just like the way she writes grief is just so gut-wrenching. I loved it. I had a great time, but do I think about it a lot? Not really. I just like I had a great time while it lasted. Okay, next we have The Bodyguard by Catherine Setter. You can finish in one setting. So I'm gonna put that right here. I'm sorry. Next we have Practice Makes Perfect. It's in the When in Rome series. I have never read the first book. I only read this one. This is the second book in the series, and it was really cute. I did not expect to like this book so much. Annie opens a flower shop, and her big brother, I don't remember his name, but he marries someone who is like very famous, like a pop star, rock star or something. And the main character, he is the bodyguard of her brother's spouse. You get it? Yeah, it's really cute. Like, I had a great time reading this one as well, but I did see that the writing is not that good. But since I had fun, I'm gonna put it here. Next we have Emily Henry books. Let's go. Funny story. That was really great. I loved the plot. It was laugh out loud funny. It was really fun, but it took me a while to finish. I don't know why. Emily Henry books are better if you listen to it, but if you read it, it takes you a while. I would put it here. It's pretty good. Now, book lovers. I liked this couple. I have heard so many people say that it is dull, which is true. I did find it kind of boring. I loved the concept of, you know, them being book editors. The banter was really great and it was funny. I liked it, but not as much. Next, we have the Part of Your World series. This is like my favorite contemporary romance series of all time. So we're gonna start with the first book, Part of Your World. I did not like it at all. Like, maybe yes, but thinking back, I don't remember anything that happens in this book, and I did not really care. So I'm actually gonna put it here. Oh my god, I can't believe this. I didn't feel anything. I did not feel anything, and I did find the FMC kind of annoying. The other 2 books in the series, however, my absolute favorite. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not even sorry, actually. You go, girls. Abby Jimenez writes about mental health so good. I did not cry reading it, but I had such emotional attachments to these books. I love Brianna and Jacob in Yours Truly. I think they understand each other so well. I felt that they were soulmates. The chemistry is insane, and with Just for the Summer, it's so funny. I just loved it. The mental health representation, just perfect. Next, okay, this is kind of random now. We have Persuasion by Jane Austen. I had this random urge to buy all these classics books, and it's sitting on my shelf untouched right now. So I only managed to read one classics this year, Persuasion, because it was like the shortest one. English is not my first language, okay? I had a hard time reading Jane Austen. The language is too complicated for me, and it took me a while to finish it. I understand why Jane Austen is still well known until this day. Her novels are just so timeless. I also started Pride and Prejudice because Pride and Prejudice is like my favorite love story of all time, but I did not finish it for some reason. Well, because of the language, but you know what? I had a great time there because it was hard to read. Okay, next we have, oh my god, A Thousand Splendid Suns. Do I have to explain? I feel like it's one of those books where you have to read this before you die. This will change your life. Just how much women have to endure in this world, and it's just, if you are a woman, please read this book. Next we have, oh my god, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. This is also literature. I would say that this book is like the most beautifully written, so I'm putting it here. I cried reading it. It made me realize how precious life can be and how precious all the little things in life are. It's beautiful. That's it. It was beautiful, and you should read this once in your life as well. It's one of those books. Next we have Circe. Ooh, this is going to be very controversial, I think. I did not like it. I do see why other people like it because of the like female rage and all of those. Yes, I did see all of that, and I did sympathize with everything that Circe had to go through. It's good, but I did not enjoy it that much, so I'm putting it, I'm so sorry. Beautiful though, it's really so beautifully written. Next we have Tress of the Emerald Sea. I've heard of this a few times, so I actually bought the book. Brandon Sanderson, holy shit, his humor is just so unique and just like laugh out loud funny, but I don't think I really got much of anything out of it, and it's more like a whimsical fairy tale, which is not really my thing. I'm actually scared to do this. Holy shit, I gave it a pretty high rating, but I'm doing this. Why am I doing this? I don't know, I'm so sorry. Next we're moving on to the romantices. Okay, we're starting with this one, Heartless Hunter. So this story is witch ex-witch hunter, and it's obviously enemies to lovers and very slow burn. Also love triangle, which is not really my thing, but she made it work. I'm waiting for Rebel Witch, which is the sequel to this book. It's good. The ending, devastating. I actually cried as well because I did not expect that fucking ending. The twist was a little predictable, but it was great nonetheless. I actually couldn't put it down. I had so much fun reading it, so I'm putting it right there. Powerless was the first ever romantasy I read. It got me giggling and everything. It's more focused on the characters and not the story, so I loved it, right? But it was really repetitive to the point where I was rolling my eyes whenever I see Kai and Peyton together. Sometimes it's just like so overused. I had a great time, and I also couldn't put it down, but it took me a week to finish. So that's after Heartless Hunter. Next we have Reckless. Believe it or not, I finished it in one sitting. That's insane. The writing is not that good at all. No progress in the plot whatsoever, but the romance was just like, so I couldn't put it down. Okay, we're gonna do The Serpent and the Wings of Night. So basically the Crowns of Nyaxia series. I've read 3 books. So The Serpent and the Wings of Night, and the novella Six Scorched Roses, and then The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. Please don't judge me. Please do not. This is literature. You're gonna... Please don't judge me. I loved it so much, okay? I just thought the writing was so good, so complex, and so... The world building, I was so immersed, and the romance is good and everything. This feels weird. Putting that next to 1,000 Splendid Suns, The Serpent and the Wings of Light is just that good. Sorry, I do think Six Scorched Roses was also perfection. But just because I am seeing 1,000 Splendid Suns right there, is the best novella. Okay, let's move on to The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. This is the sequel to The Serpent and the Wings of Night. It took me months to finish. It was just long and it was dragged out, and I just got bored at times. But the writing is still so good and everything ties up at the end so perfectly. Carissa Broadbent, I love you, but holy shit. I can't believe I did that. Next, let's do the Bridge Kingdom series. I only read 2 books. I loved it so much. I actually did not expect anything going into this book, but I was just so immersed in this world, and the romance is just really good. It's not like the best of the best, but I had so much fun, so I could not put it down. I'm actually gonna put it here. And The Traitor Queen was also such a good sequel. There were some things that were kind of dragged out, and I got bored around like 70% or something. So I'm putting it here. It was still good. I am so glad I found the series. Okay, so we did the Romanticides. Now we have the only 2 thrillers I've ever read. I actually read this one first, so let's do this. The Silent Patient. Ooh, this is like a book talk sensation, and whatever bookstore you walk into, you will see The Silent Patient in the thriller sections. Like, I get the hype and everything, but did I like it? Not really. I really hated the characters in this, and I feel like it's like you just know that, oh, the author is a man. Do you get it? Sometimes when you read a book and you just know that it's a male author, it's so different. The only reason I didn't like it was because 1, I hated the characters. 2, I clocked that big plot twist from the first 2 chapters. So the last book we're doing today is The Reappearance of Rachel Price. I found this book absolutely insufferable. The writing is very repetitive. It's like the way that the characters act in this book just did not match the gravity of the crime and the tragedy that is happening. I just had to force myself to finish it. I did not like it. Very insufferable. I'm putting it there. The only reason I'm not putting it down here is that the plot twist was not that predictable. I did not predict it. I was still shocked. My jaw actually dropped. So I would still recommend it to people who is looking for a good YA thriller. Okay, so that's my ranking, and yes, I would recommend these 5 books until the day I die. Please, just go read them. I should go and finish Beach Read, so I will know where I'll put that book. That's it. Thank you so much for watching, and I probably won't be posting ever, but this is fun. This was fun. So, bye!